Join the VLGA and LGIU for their next Global Executive Live panel on Thursday the 22nd of May. Addressing a pressing issue for local government, this webinar will explore the experiences and lessons from across the globe when it comes to civility in public life. Hear from experts about what they're observing, the reasons for a decline in civility, and the impact this is having on retaining talent and promoting diversity. Tickets are free for VLGA members and alumni, and $60 for non-members, excluding GST. Head to the VLGA website to find out more and secure your place. And we look forward to seeing you at the Global Executive Live panel Thursday the 22nd of May from 5:30 p.m. Election voided, Whittlesea Council down another councillor. Dysfunction at Golden Plains under the spotlight. Greenline cut and more bike lanes planned in the City of Melbourne's new budget. The results are in from a review of Newcastle City Council. A deputy mayor resigns, citing the pressures of the role and low pay. A veteran council CEO announces retirement, and a mayor calls out fellow councillors over the outcome of a breach of conduct investigation. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. This is the Local Government News Roundup. All of that and more just ahead on Australia's #1 local government podcast, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Welcome back to the pod. It's Monday, the 12th of May, and Whittlesea City Council is down to 9 councillors after VCAT voided the result of the council's Layla ward election. The council announced on Friday that it noted the decision and findings of attempted and actual interference in the election, the outcome being that Stephen Kosmeski no longer holds the office of councillor with immediate effect. Concerns were raised by VEC staff after detecting a high number of multiple returns in the Layla ward election last year, ultimately identifying 81 suspicious returns. The final margin determining the result was 39 votes. VCAT Vice President Judge English said she was satisfied that the electors were proven to be prevented from recording their votes effectively according to their own preference. The council noted that neither VCAT or the VEC has made any suggestion that Mr Kosmeski was involved in the fraud, and it's understood that he intends to recontest the position at a by-election that has been set for the 2nd of August. The VEC noted that when it made its application to VCAT, it also referred the matter to the Local Government Inspectorate and Victoria Police. It said it's unable to comment on that investigation at this time. Mr Kosmeski's place at the council table is the second to be vacated in the last month, after the Minister for Local Government Nick Stakos used his powers to suspend the former mayor, Aidan McClindon, for 6 months, pending the conduct of a commission of inquiry. A second case of potential fraud in Knox City Council's Baird ward is still before VCAT, awaiting determination. Meanwhile, the VEC has announced a by-election for the vacant position on Darebin City Council following the passing of Gaetano Greco last month. That by-election will also be held on the 2nd of August. A toxic environment is claimed to be behind a revolving door of executives and councillors at Golden Plains Shire. The Geelong Advertiser has published a special report on the internal turmoil at the council, which has seen multiple resignations of councillors and executives, including former Mayor Brett Cunningham last week and Chief Executive Shane Walden earlier this year. Mr Cunningham's resignation will trigger the second councillor vacancy since the term began in November, and there is speculation about the future of Mayor Sarah Hayden, who is currently on a leave of absence. The council's dysfunction was highlighted during a recent meeting where councillors failed to elect an acting mayor on the first attempt before reconvening a day later to elect Helena Kirby, described in the Advertiser's special report as a compromise candidate. The situation has become so concerning that the state government is said to be considering intervention through the appointment of monitors or administrators. Meanwhile, interim CEO Stephen Sagona has proactively engaged former Queenscliff CEO Lenny Jenner to conduct voluntary discussions between councillors with the aim of strengthening working relationships and governance processes. The Age has reported that the City of Melbourne will pull funding from the ambitious $316 million Greenline linear park project along the Yarra River's North Bank. Nick Rees is expected to announce the redirection of $14.6 million to other projects, including a community hub and library, as part of his first budget as Lord Mayor. While some sections of the 4-kilometre pathway will proceed due to previously allocated funding and private partnerships, the full project from Birrarung Maar to Bolte Bridge will not be completed in the current council term as the city grapples with financial pressures and competing priorities. The Herald Sun has also reported on the city's upcoming budget, highlighting a plan to install more bike lanes. It says Lord Mayor Rees has vowed to improve traffic flow and boost pedestrian infrastructure, as the 5 new metro tunnel stations are expected to bring an influx of 500,000 people each week. Councillor Rees said intersections and laneways will be reconfigured to make it easier for motorists entering the city from the south as the volume of bikes and scooters increases in the CBD. 6 Victorian councils have united to oppose the state government's proposed Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund levy, which would significantly increase rates for ratepayers and replace the existing fire services property levy. The councils, including Greater Geelong and Wyndham cities and Surf Coast and Colac-Otway shires, met with Upper House member Sarah Mansfield to voice concerns about the unclear allocation of funds and the burden on ratepayers. Geelong, Surf Coast and Colac-Otway councils are facing almost $30 million in additional charges between them. Geelong Mayor Stretch Contel OAM said they'd brought together councils covering Werribee to Colac and Apollo Bay to Queenscliff and everywhere in between to collectively oppose the unfair levy. Hobsons Bay City Council has unanimously voted to pause advocacy for the Western Aquatic and Early Years Centre in Altona Meadows after project costs escalated from an initial $40 million to nearly $100 million. That's despite a $10 million pledge from the state government. The pause will allow for a review of the council's long-term aquatic strategy, which had originally recommended 2 district-level aquatic centres. And local activists and Bayside Council are at odds over the development of the Yalukit-Willem Nature Reserve, according to a report from The Age. The dispute centres on plans for new wetlands at the former Elstonwick Golf Course site. The main point of contention, a synthetic liner for the wetlands that the council says is essential, but environmental groups fear could harm the delicate ecosystem. The situation reached a boiling point when protesters physically blocked machinery and even chained themselves to logs to prevent their removal. Despite the protests, Bayside Council has voted to proceed with the $4 million wetland project. More council news in brief. Warrnambool City Council has revealed plans for an $800,000 upgrade to its Civic Centre building, according to a report from The Standard. Its draft budget includes scoping and design for the installation of a lift, and new accessible toilets will also be installed under the plan. The council also plans to borrow $14.5 million over 4 years to fund a range of major projects. Brimbank Council is seeking clarity from the state government regarding funding and timelines for major infrastructure projects, including Melbourne Airport Rail and the Sunshine Station Master Plan. The Star Weekly reported the council is emphasising the urgency of the projects, particularly wanting Melbourne Airport Rail to be completed before the third runway opens in 2031. And the City of Ballarat has opened nominations for its 20th Annual Youth Awards, celebrating young individuals' leadership, creativity and dedication across 10 categories. The awards aim to recognise outstanding youth and the adults who support them, with an awards ceremony planned for August. The Local Government News Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, which is once again partnering with LGIU for another Global Executive Live panel. Coming up on Thursday, the 22nd of May. The panel will bring together chief executives and local authority experts from around the world to discuss their practical insights and ideas for civility in public life. Hostility towards and distrust in public institutions is on the rise, and it's never more true than at the local level, the most accessible sphere of government. Addressing this pressing issue for local government, this live panel will explore the experiences and lessons from local government across the globe. Make sure you're part of the discussion Thursday the 22nd of May from 5:30pm Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can find out more on the VLGA's events page. On with the news, and the City of Newcastle has been found by an independent review to be a well-managed and high-performing organisation with no instances of fraud, corruption, breaches of legislation or maladministration. The comprehensive review, conducted by Davidson Business Advisory, considered over 800 public submissions and 260 internal documents and resulted in 20 recommendations for improvement across various themes. They include governance, compliance and organisational culture. The report was overseen by the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee and found the city was in a strong financial position. It's been presented at a public briefing and will come before the council on the 27th of May for endorsement. Ellie Tree, the 31-year-old Deputy Mayor of Bellingen Shire Council, has resigned from the council due to the financial strain of serving as a councillor while balancing family life and full-time work. The mother of three became the youngest councillor ever elected to the council in 2021 and had been on a 3-month leave of absence before her resignation. She said the structural realities of regional local government make it challenging for young working women to sustain such roles. The council said it will refer the casual vacancy to the New South Wales Electoral Commission for a countback election. Mid-Coast Council is undergoing a countback process to fill a councillor vacancy following the resignation of Dira Smith. That avoids a costly by-election estimated to have cost $700,000 as it's within the first 18 months of the new council term. The process will involve contacting eligible unelected candidates from the previous election, with final results to be announced on the 21st of May after a recount of voters' original preferences. In a groundbreaking development for local government relations with First Nations communities, Tamworth Regional Council has become the first in Australian history to formalise a partnership agreement with an Aboriginal community-controlled organisation focused on closing the gap initiatives. The historic agreement, known as the Mara Ngali Partnership, meaning our two hands in the Gomeroi language, marks a significant shift in how local governments approach Indigenous affairs. The partnership with Tamworth Aboriginal community-controlled organisations sets a precedent that is predicted other councils across the nation will follow. Tamworth Regional Councillor Mark Sutherland, a proud Gomeroi man, noted that the 4-year journey to reach this milestone has positioned Tamworth as a leader in this space. Kiama Council says it successfully repaid its $60 million Treasury Corp loan for Blue Haven Bonera ahead of schedule, with the final instalment of $14.6 million paid last week. And 3 New South Wales councils, Parkes, Forbes and Lachlan Shire, have become the first Yellow Ribbon Road Safety Councils in partnership with the Sarah Group, signing an MOU to improve road safety outcomes in their region. More news briefs for you. Coffs Harbour Council is considering a change from bi-monthly to monthly council meetings and is seeking community feedback. It says monthly meetings would improve operational efficiency and align with practices of similar councils while still maintaining the ability to call extraordinary meetings when needed. Upper Hunter and Muswellbrook councils have endorsed a new regional tourism brand. The new branding costs nearly $330,000 to develop and aims to showcase the area's distinctive character through 9 key elements, including strategy, architecture and visual identity. The Scone Advocate reported the new brand will be launched later this month. And Alga has announced that ABC presenter and political commentator David Spears will moderate panel sessions at this year's National General Assembly in Canberra in June. The panels of federal ministers will give insights into how the newly re-elected Labor government plans to work with local government on key issues. In Queensland, the Mayor of Ipswich, Teresa Harding, has expressed her disappointment in a council decision to clear Councillor Andrew Antonioli of a breach of conduct, despite an investigation finding there was substance to the allegations. Councillor Harding took to social media to call out her fellow councillors, who she says made ridiculous arguments and lame excuses to clear Councillor Antonioli of any wrongdoing. The allegations related to disparaging comments about council staff and disrespectful behaviour towards CEO Sonia Cooper. Councillor Antonioli told the Ipswich Tribune that he'd been vindicated by the decision, accusing the mayor of being hypocritical and engaging in intimidatory behaviour. Douglas Shire Council has congratulated Matt Smith on winning the federal seat of Leichhardt. Mayor Lisa Skermatson said the council was excited to begin a new collaborative relationship with Mr Smith in his new role. The mayor is requesting a meeting with the new MP to discuss critical matters including water security, disaster management, tourism development and housing initiatives. In South Australia, the City of Mount Gambier CEO Sarah Philpott has announced her retirement effective August 1st after nearly 3 decades in local government service. She's held her current role since 2021 and was previously the CEO of Mildura Council in Victoria, as well as holding senior roles at Port Adelaide Enfield, Cairns and the City of Marion. The council will now begin the recruitment process to ensure her successor is in place ahead of the next election. A proposal to expand accommodation options at a coastal retreat in Tasmania has split Breaker Day Council. The Examiner reported that after a tight vote, the Little Beach Resort on the state's east coast will be allowed to double its guest dwellings. The resort is one of 4 ecotourism properties to be showcased in Tourism Tasmania promotions. And in Western Australia, the town of Port Hedland Council has debated another motion regarding COVID-19 vaccines at its latest meeting. The North West Telegraph reported that Councillor Camillo Blanco proposed investigating claims about vaccine efficacy and adverse reactions. The motion passed 4-2 despite opposition from Councillor Ambika Rubello, who argued that analysing medical data was beyond the scope and expertise of local government. This is episode number 450 of the Local Government News Roundup, recorded Monday the 12th of May and brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Let's look at some stories from beyond our shores of interest for this edition. Firstly, in the UK, Reform UK Councillor Desmond Clark has resigned from Nottinghamshire County Council just 1 week after being elected to the Newark West Division, according to BBC News. He cited personal circumstances that would prevent him from adequately serving his constituents. The resignation has triggered a by-election and drawn criticism from the Conservative opposition after Reform UK recently won control of the council with 40 of 66 seats. Meanwhile, the party is facing allegations that some newly elected Durham County councillors may be disqualified from serving due to already being council employees. BBC News reported that the council has acknowledged the claims but hasn't identified specific individuals, noting that affected councillors must resign from their employment to continue in their elected roles. The UK government has issued a best value notice to monitor Newham Council for 12 months due to concerns about its finances, culture and service delivery. The move comes after the council received the worst ever rating for social housing and requested emergency funding amid a £160 million budget gap. The council is implementing a 9% tax increase, twice that allowed elsewhere in the country, according to a report from The Standard. In Scotland, West Lothian Council has been the target of a suspected criminal cyber attack. Yahoo News reported that a ransomware attack was made on the council's education networks last week. Police Scotland and the Scottish Government have launched a criminal investigation. The council said there'd been minimal disruption and there was no evidence of personal or sensitive data being accessed. From the US, Boise City Council in Idaho has voted 5-1 to approve a resolution that designates 3 flags, the Boise City flag, Pride flag and organ donor flag, as official city flags amid tensions over a new state law regulating flag displays by local governments. Local station KTVB reported that hundreds of supporters rallied before the meeting, at which Council President Colin Nash said the resolution helps memorialise the flags the city flies while ensuring compliance with state law. A law firm has come forward to provide pro bono representation for the city if any legal action is taken on the matter. Back to Charlotte City Council for an update where leaders have strongly denied allegations of corruption and unethical activities made by one of its members. following that reported closed-door settlement last week with its police chief, Johnny Jennings. The controversy stems from former council member Tariq Bukhari's contentious campaign for police outer carrier vests, which included threats to demand the chief's resignation. WCNC reported on allegations by council member Victoria Watlington, described by other members as scaremongering and without factual basis. The city's mayor and other councillors called a news conference last week to refute the claims. And finally to Canada, where a new study has revealed that 2 Canadian cities, Calgary and Juneau, that stopped adding fluoride to their drinking water saw significant increases in tooth decay among children. In Calgary, 65% of second graders have experienced tooth decay, compared to 55% in fluoridated Edmonton, while Juneau saw dental treatments rise from 1.5 to 2.5 per child, according to Science News. The decision to remove fluoride was influenced by controversial claims and split opinions, though Calgary later voted to reinstate fluoridation in 2021 with 62% support. Despite concerns about the effect of fluoride on IQ, researchers say that ending fluoridation based on weak evidence is negligent, as the cited risks are associated with fluoride levels more than double the CDC's recommended amount. And that's our podcast for today. This was edition number 450 of the Local Government News Roundup, recorded on the morning of Monday, the 12th of May. If you have comments or feedback, you can send us an email to lgweeklynews@gmail.com. More information about this episode, including story links and transcript, at lgnewsroundup.com. The Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. And I'm grateful to the many of you who help make the podcast possible by supporting us through a monthly subscription. Support starts at $3 per month, around $5 Australian, and you can cancel your subscription at any time. The Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. I'm thrilled to welcome Symphony 3 to the Local Government News Roundup family. If you're a local council, you know how challenging it can be to manage data across all your different systems. That's where Symphony 3 comes in. They've developed Smart Glue, a platform that integrates over 55 council systems, automating data flow without the need for manual work. It turns confusion into simplicity. With Smart Glue, councils save time, reduce errors and empower staff to focus on what really matters. Their clients see a real difference, up to 20% boost in productivity, with savings of over $30,000 per integration every year. Symphony 3 helps councils work smarter, faster and more efficiently, all while better supporting the communities they serve.